Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another discussion video. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about how I would go about fixing Dark Broly. Last week, we got an announcement from Bandai saying they were looking at a wide-ranging ban list going into set 14, and obviously there are a lot of decks and strategies that are, pretty high points of contention for this wide-ranging ban list. Dark Broly is one of them, Mecha is one of them, there are a few others. So I did want to do a video talking about how I think I would fix Dark Broly and how I think it would make it a lot more balanced within the meta, and what I think is maybe more likely to go on Bandai's part. I don't necessarily think they're going to automatically adopt what I'm about to suggest here. So I do have some thoughts on that. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and let's get right into it. So going into Dark Broly's role in the meta, there have definitely been times where it's been a lot more oppressive. I wouldn't necessarily call now one of those times, and that kind of leads me to what I want to say about this, wide-ranging, overarching ban list, is that we're still in a relatively great format. I would say the format's still very diverse. Lots of colors are really good. Green's still a little bit lacking. Blue is maybe a little bit lacking, but the other colors are still really good. There are a lot of different decks you can play in the meta, and even rogue decks have been showing to do very, very well when an experienced pilot who knows the deck in and out takes it to an event, right? But what this ban list is aiming to do, at least what I think, is that there are a lot of strategies like Dark Broly, like Mecha, like Vegex, that have been around for maybe just a little bit too long. Dark Broly is just the type of black deck where you're playing really tall guys for free and you're able to go wide with them, and the deck through that just does a really broken thing. Like I don't think you should be able to go wide and tall in the same deck, especially when a lot of that is for 1 or 0 energy. That just by gameplay mechanics sounds inherently broken. But again, Dark Broly does not dominate the format. It wins its fair share of events, sure, but it's not like this oppressive tier 0 deck, and there is no oppressive tier 0 deck in this format, which is why I don't want you guys to think like, oh, big ban list announcement, the game is in a terrible state. I think it's still in a relatively good state, but this ban list, alongside the release of set 14, you got to realize too that there are going to be different answer card strategies in set 14 that are going to also shake up the meta. But there are some of these strategies that are just a bit too powerful, where I do like Bandai's approach on this. Instead of just power creeping Dark Broly out, let's just rein back their power level a little bit so we don't have to print even stronger cards, so the rate of power creep does not excel exponentially, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, so Dark Broly, even though it's not overly oppressive in the format, I don't really like the fact that it forces you to build your deck in a certain way. What I mean by that is, if you're playing King Piccolo, you might say, oh, King Piccolo is a really good Dark Broly matchup. What's really funny is one of my teammates said that it's not really KP that has a good Dark Broly matchup, it's Violent Rays that has a good Dark Broly matchup, right? So with KP, you can just stall out with Violent Rays, eventually assemble your board, use what you need to kill them, things like that. Yellow, not every yellow deck is maining it, but you have to at least be sideboarding Vegeta, Unisson, and Fury if you're going up against Dark Broly, and that's only because Dark Broly has become a little bit less popular because of the existence of all these floodgates. But then you find a situation where if Dark Broly ever comes back, then you need the floodgates again, and it kind of creates this wave of like a shifting meta type of thing. And then in blue, Heroic Prospect, if you don't have Heroic Prospect in your deck and you're not like Blue Baby, for instance, odds are you're probably gonna get run over by Dark Broly. Like, Heroic Prospect is the one card that does shut Dark Broly down for several turns, and if you don't have this card, it's gonna be pretty tough. And this and Violent Rays are pretty expensive in price, so they're kind of hard to access. So again, while Dark Broly I don't think is overly dominant in terms of its data and results, the way it warps the format is probably the most warping effect out of any of the top decks in the meta, where you're forced to play answer cards like this, otherwise you may get run over. And that's one of the reasons why Dark Broly can definitely just like steamroll any rogue deck that is not equipped with cards like this, because they just won't have the proper defenses to deal with free go wide, go tall, kill you. So my proposed errata to Dark Broly, I don't agree with banning the leader, because if you ban the leader, you pretty much indirectly ban the rest of the archetype. Yeah, you can play some of the Dark Broly stuff with the Toa deck, but let's be honest, the stuff was made to be played with Dark Broly, especially the zero combo stuff. Like the zero cost combo stuff, yeah, you can play it in Toa, but it's a really tough sell when you're gonna have a bunch of these cards in hand. If you do make like a Dark Broly themed Toa deck, for example, and so many of the cards you just can't combo with, that's just not gonna feel very good. So I do feel like there's an errata to Dark Broly that can do a pretty solid job, and I'll talk about some of the ones that I've heard of, but I'll talk about my proposed errata right now. So my proposed errata would be to add this text to the leader: you cannot play non-black battle cards, and the battle cards you can play in your deck can either be 5k power or 30k power. Nothing in between, nothing more, nothing less, right? So here's why I would propose that precise errata. So by saying you can't play non-black cards, you can no longer play Furthering Destruction Champa, and you can no longer play Goku Heartfelt Plea, but you can still play Broly Unbridled Destruction because he also counts as a black card. So Heartfelt Plea, while I don't think the card on its own is necessarily super broken, it is going to be a card that's incredibly good when the right deck rolls around. Look at Surge Goku in set 9, and then after that the card wasn't really played for a long time until Dark Broly got the ability to play Unbridled Destruction. So by just not allowing Dark Broly to play non-black cards, you eliminate the extension of Heartfelt Plea, which gets Dark Broly the ability to crit possibly 2 of the opponent's lives or just draw an insanely large hand. I could also see an errata for Heartfelt Plea where they say you can only play this card if your leader is yellow or red. I think that would also be fine. And the fact that Heartfelt Plea is technically already errated, it's not like your cards would be super outdated, right? They're, unless you have the revision pack, they're probably already outdated. Let's be honest, you're probably playing the shiny super rare or SPR, right? Now, Furthering Destruction Champa is another interesting case because a lot of players actually want this card and Kai banned. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do see where they're coming from because it's been a win con in the game since day one, right? Like, playing X battle card, swinging with it, dropping Champa or Kai, giving a double strike, going for game has been a really strong win con. And that's more or less been the win con for aggro decks and mid-range decks. Like, control decks generally have like their own boss monster. Some mid-range decks also have a boss monster where they have double strike or triple strike. But most decks that don't have like a clear cut, drop the boss monster, win the game win con, they're probably playing some number of Furthering Destruction Champa. And I think for the most part, that's fine. That's just a card in the game you have to be aware of for most decks to possibly drop on you. But I think in Dark Broly, this card in particular gets a bit degenerate when you're able to just drop it for 1 on a free 30k battle card, right? That might be where it gets a little bit too out of hand, turning a 0 cost 30k battle card into essentially a 1 energy 40k double striker. That I think that can get out of hand. So I think by limiting Dark Broly to only playing black battle cards, that could be a really good change. And then the thing about playing 30ks and 5ks, you can no longer play the really good like 15ks and middle cost cards like Gravy, like SS3 Tag Team Gohan, like the Bardock Nimbus card, which is escaping my mind, which is 25k. But yeah, you can no longer play cards like that. But instead, what you could do is you can still play all your Dark Brolys, of course. You can play your 5k Vegeta super combos. You can play your Goku True Fighting Spirits, because we don't want Dark Broly to have absolutely no side deck options. That wouldn't be cool. You can still play your Brainwash No Mores. You can still play your True Power Demon God Demigross, all that good stuff. And I feel like this range of 30ks and 5ks is just really good because, again, it allows the deck to, play a decent range of cards that it could need. Like, I wouldn't want the deck to not be able to play super combos because, honestly, that could really, really hurt the deck, really, really handicap it. But I also think this is a cool change because it would force Dark Broly to probably just play like 40 30ks in the deck and then like your 4 super combos, and maybe you'll tech like some True Fighting Spirits and some Power Bursts and some extra cards. But I do really think that'd be a really, really cool errata in my opinion. Another errata I have heard, and I don't necessarily mind this, is to change like Demon Realm Ravager, Uncontrollable Berserker, the blocker one, change those to their activate main saying you have to warp 6 black battle cards that have 30k power instead of just any black battle cards. I do think that's a solid change, and that would serve the same purpose that I'm trying to find, which is to make Dark Broly just pretty much be a deck full of 30ks and not much else. I do think that's a good change. The only problem is that requires a lot more erratas than my first proposed errata, so I think that just might be a cleaner way to do it. But I don't know, that's what I've generally been thinking about for how to change Dark Broly. I do enjoy the deck. The deck definitely got a lot more boring as time went on, which is why I put it down for other things like Blue Yellow, Kid Gohan Icarus, Mecha Frieza, stuff like that, even King Piccolo. But I do think the deck is cool. I do think it does some very oppressive stuff when it goes unchecked. Like, I think if you're gonna make a really powerful archetype of this, like, again, go tall, go wide for free, very powerful inherently, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to put some serious restrictions on it. I think the restrictions I propose are pretty solid, only including black battle cards in the deck and only being able to play 30k and 5k battle cards. I do think it's a pretty solid change, but I do want to know in the comments below what you guys think about how to fix Dark Broly. Would you just outright ban the leader? Would you maybe ban something else within the deck? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time.